Folks, welcome back. I've got an amazing report for you. This is for month ending September. This is going to be, when I get through this, you're going to know why I'm calling this a September to remember. Before we get going, my name is Santo Sessa with RE/MAX Premier. Just wanted to introduce myself for those of you joining us for the first time. Please subscribe below. Click the bell button so you're reminded when these videos come up. I'm assuming you want to be reminded when these videos come up. And comment. Anything that's on your mind, just comment below. Now, I do my best. Those of you that kind of follow and read the comments, you know I do my best to, good or bad, I respond to all your comments. Sometimes I'm a bit delayed, but understand, this is my side gig. I am a full-time realtor working with buyers and selling, helping them every day. That's what I do full-time. So if sometimes I can't get to you, I will when I have a little bit of time. So please leave your comments below. Okay, let's get started. So this is the Market Watch. It's a report that the Toronto Real Estate Board puts out every month for the month that just passed. So this is for September. And what we're seeing is when we look at sales, September last year to September this year, sales are up for the month of September 42.3%. That's a huge number. This is one of the reasons this is a September to remember. That's a huge number. Last year, September, we did just almost 7,800 sales. This year, we're at almost 1,100 sales almost. So 42.3% higher. Fantastic September month. Lots of people talking about, oh, there's pent-up demand. Well, they've been saying that for months now. Is it still pent-up demand? I couldn't tell you, but sales are huge. Looking at average sold price, when we compare September last year of $842,000 to September this year of an average sold price of $960,000, almost $961,000, sales are up, average sold price is up 14%. Also, a big number. So just on the surface, just like that, things seem phenomenal in the GTA real estate market. Let's take a closer look though. Okay, so I'm looking at here, I found this really interesting. So I decided to look at, okay, you know, when you compare month to month, those of you watching some of my other videos, I'm comparing sometimes week over week and looking at it more closely. What I've done here is I've taken January to September, the whole year as an average, and compared this year to last year. And because I know we were in our lockdown situation with the health crisis. We've been through most of this year living through this health crisis. We're still, excuse me, we're still very much in it now. So I'm curious overall, not week to week, not month to month, but overall, how's this year compared to last year so far? Well, when we look at sales for last year, January to September, we've done 67,888. This year so far, we've done 68,793. We are just over 900 more homes sold this year than last year, and we've been locked down, and we've had some obstacles to overcome this year. So sales are up 1.3%. Average sold price. When we take everything sold last year, January to September, the average sold price of all home types in the GTA was $811,000, a little bit higher than that. This year, the average sold price so far is sitting at $920,000. Average sold price is up $108,000. That's 14.4%. That's the whole year, January to September so far. I found that phenomenal, thinking that, but we've spent a big part of this year in a lockdown, a few months. We've spent a big part of this year not being able, as realtors, not being able to trade properly. You've spent a big time of this year, if you were thinking of buying and selling, not actively looking. Like, there's so many obstacles this year for real estate, and we've bounced back in a big, big way. We're actually doing better than last year at this time. How's the rest of the year going to pan out? It's tough to say. There's a lot of things in the pipeline that could derail this situation, so time will tell. We'll see. Let's take a closer look on a month-to-month basis. This is all the Toronto Real Estate Board. When we look at sales, this 11,083 sales for September, that's the most sales done in a September since we've been recording sales in September. So that's one of the reasons why I say also a September to remember. This is a big, big month for September, and when we kind of step back a little bit and not analyze which way are we going month to month, but we kind of look at, let's look at a trend. Sales over the last few months, they've been pretty high, and when we compare where sales were last year, we're doing much better right now in sales, and it's these months here that have helped us to catch up and surpass the sales we were at last year. Looking at average sold price. Well, last month actually in August, this 951, that was a record-breaking month for average sold price. Well, we've surpassed that. This 960,000, like I mentioned earlier, that is a record-setting price. Did I mention that earlier? Actually, I don't remember if I mentioned it earlier, but 960,772 is the highest average sold price we've ever had. That's phenomenal. A September to remember. And it's crazy we're getting these numbers because we're in a health crisis. So looking at a trend over the last few months, average sold price in general across all home types, across everything traded on the Toronto Real Estate Board, average sold prices have been going up. When we compare to where we were last year this time, we are way higher, on average about 14% higher than where we were last year. So market in general seems really strong and heading that way. Now we know there's some things coming down the road, the whole mortgage deferral situation, the whole are we headed, well, we're in a second wave, how bad is it going to be? Do we have another lockdown? All these are unanswered questions. But right now, up to September, we're doing well. Looking at months of inventory, and this is for all home types, months of inventory helps me to understand why are prices the way they are, how quickly are we buying homes, how aggressive is the market. If I list today and months of inventory is sitting at 8, I know there's a good chance I'm going to be on the market for months and months, 8 months. If months of inventory are this low, 1.6 months, that means there's a good chance the properties that are coming on the market are being bought quickly, and it's more aggressive, the market. Well, if we see here 1.6, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, that's a very healthy, very strong seller's market. Anything over 4 months of inventory is a balanced market. Over 6 months of inventory would be more of a buyer's market. We haven't seen a buyer's market in a long, long time. But down here, 1.5, 1.6 helps to explain the steady increase in home prices. Okay, so looking at, this is for all home types. I just take a general summary here. The blue down here, this is the Toronto Real Estate Board. Prices month to month went up by 1%. The City of Toronto, prices went up by 1.6%. For Vaughan, prices went down 0.3%. But generally speaking, there's not a lot of movement. Prices for all these regions are pretty steady over the last few months. Let's look at Vaughan. We're looking at trends. These sales here for July, August, and September. In September, shot up quite a bit from the previous 2 months, much higher than where sales were July, August, and September last year. Although price dropped slightly by 0.3% month over month, if we take June as the high point so far over the last few months, well, we can say that prices have been trending down when we look at all home types in Vaughan. Compared to last year, though, this time, we're sitting much higher, on average 11.9% higher than where prices were last year in September. So compared to last year, doing pretty good. Over the last few months, prices are coming down. It all depends which data you're looking at. That it's going to, you're going to kind of look at it. How does it pertain to your situation? Looking at the city of Toronto and all home types, sales, very high, 3,555. It's one of the highest sales that we've had in a while. Looking at average sold price, it went up 1.6%, but for the last few months has been sitting really high. When I say really high, for June, this $1,022,000 as an average sold price was the highest price we've ever had. And remember, I'm talking about the city of Toronto, all home types. Well, for September, we're off just a few dollars. So we're right up there as far as the highest average sold price ever. We're really, really close. Compared to last year, average sold prices were much higher, 11.9% higher if we compare September last year to September this year. Let's take a closer look at detached properties. So this is just detached, and for all the Toronto Real Estate Board, month to month we went up 1%. For Vaughan, we went up 0.9%. For the City of Toronto, went down 1.2%. Not a lot of movement. Some are up a little bit, some are down a little bit, but the last few months have been pretty steady, which is, for me, exciting because there's been so much speculation. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? There's been so many predictions, and these predictions are being pushed back a bit. Okay, now we got to wait to what happens in the last quarter of the year. Oh, now we got to wait to see kind of what happens in the first quarter of next year. And I agree with those. There's a lot of unknowns, but right now things are going pretty steady. Okay, so Vaughan detached. Sales are up by 10.5%, sitting at 253 sales. Average sold price for the last few months has been going up. The average Vaughan detached home sold a little bit over 1.4 million last month in September. Compared to where we were last year, we're sitting at about 12% higher when it comes to average sold prices. And remember, this is all of Vaughan for detached homes. Taking a closer look at the City of Toronto detached, although sales have been going up and they're very strong here at 1,161 sales. It's one of our best months. Prices have actually been coming down slightly. Not by a lot, but they have been coming down slightly. But looking at where we were last year, we're sitting at about 9.4% higher when it comes to average sold price for detached homes in the City of Toronto. Let's look at months of inventory. This is still detached homes for Vaughan, excuse me. We're sitting at about 2.2. Now 1.8, 2.2, 2.2, that helps to explain why prices are steady. For the City of Toronto, same idea. Prices are, months of inventory, 1.4, 1.5, 1.7. It's still really low. They are kind of going up slightly, and that helps to explain why average sold prices dropping slightly, a little bit each month. Be really curious to see what happens in this over the next few months. Condos. Condos is a really interesting property type. Condos used to be king. Condos used to be the top of the food chain when it comes to gains, when it comes to volume. It used to be the talk if you're investing, getting into condos, pre-construction, resale. Condos was it. That story has fizzled out now. Let's take a look though, but it's not all terrible. Not yet anyways. Sales are relatively high. 1,500, a little bit more than 1,500 units sold. Compared to last year, well, it's kind of sort of what we were doing last year at this time. But remember, all the other home types, I'm telling you how much higher sales we're doing. Condos is about the same. When we look at average sold price, so from month to month, average sold price went up, but if we go back the last few months, condos have been going down, up, down, up. So they have been, the moral of this story is they have been pretty steady though. We had, the last few months, we had a low of 672,000. a high of 686. So there's not a lot of lateral movement there when it comes to price. When we look at where we were before the lockdown, we're sitting a little bit lower, whereas some of the other home types, we're sitting higher or the same. Condos is lower, so it hasn't made back where we were before the lockdown. And compared to last year, we are a little bit better than last year when it comes to average sold prices, but not by as much as the other home types. The other home types have double-digit appreciation or higher average sold prices. September this year to September last year, we're sitting at 7.7% higher when it comes to average sold price for condos. There's a lot going on with condos. When we look further down, we are seeing the highest active listings for condos than we've ever had. When we look at the amount of listings coming on and the amount that we're buying, that gap is getting further and further apart. We're seeing way more condo properties on the market. So the big question is, this didn't happen just this month. We've been seeing this now month after month after month. So why haven't prices just come way down? Well, there's a few explanations for that, but that could be still different coming into the future over the next quarter and into next year. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with these prices, but right now they're staying steady. Well, a couple of reasons. One is the sellers are just not prepared to give their condos away, not yet. So they're sticking to their price, although not as aggressively as they'd like, but they're sticking to their price. And buyers, a lot of people getting into the condo market, they're getting in, they're either first-time buyers, they're excited to get into the condo market, they're buying at a record low interest rate. So although they're not looking to pay top dollar, they're still paying some decent money for the condo. So buyers are prepared to pay still. Sellers are not just giving them away. So it's keeping prices relatively steady. But as we get more and more stock, we're going to see what really happens. This story is not finished yet. And the months of inventory for condos helps to tell kind of where we're headed. Months of inventory has been increased. We're now sitting at 3.5 months of inventory, the highest of all home types, approaching a balanced market. If this keeps going, which we expect it to, we're going to start to see a balanced market and maybe even a buyer's market coming up. Folks, that's my report. My name is Santo Sessa with RE/MAX Premier. Stay safe. Talk to you in a week.